A giant main event coming up this weekend from Jacksonville, Florida. We have big-time featherweights. You have Josh Emmett coming off a title fight loss for the interim belt against Rodrigues, who's going to be unifying the belt at this summer's big-time international fight week. And listen, I mean, Josh Emmett taking on the undefeated former Cage Warriors champ. It's 13-0, Ilia Topuria. He has one decision win, that over Youssef Zalal in the UFC, where he worked out his wrestling. But other than that, 12 big-time finishes for Topuria. As always, one half of your hosting duo, Craig Allen, Twitter and Instagram at Craig Allen FNP. With me to my left, to your right, respective socials, Matt Allen FNP. And I know we're really amped up for this fight because Fight Night Picks fans are Josh Emmett fans. Fight Night Picks fans are Topuria fans, and maybe they weren't necessarily sold when Topuria fought Josh Emmett. Or sorry, when Topuria fought Bryce Mitchell. And the first round was pretty close in that fight, but in the second round, it was not close whatsoever. Topuria going down to the mat, as Joe Rogan saying, I don't think he should go down to the mat.
Well, he hurt him a lot before that, though, to be fair.
Still,
there's also a famous quote, hit a black belt in the head, they turn into a brown belt, and then just keep on doing it, and they go down in levels. Well, he hurt Bryce Mitchell very badly up until that.
Big right hand, drop Bryce Mitchell. Topuria goes down to the mat, gets a submission win, and he is a black belt in his own right. Now, Topuria is one of those interesting fighters that has great jiu-jitsu to go along with really good wrestling, great offensive wrestling. You saw that on the build-up into the UFC with Brave, with, I already mentioned it, Cage Warriors, where he missed weight trying to win the bantamweight belt, still got the win there. You look at a guy like Josh Emmett, collegiate wrestling in his back pocket, and that's what got him to the dance, but you know him for his hands. You know him for that big overhand right against Michael Johnson. You know him for the fight against Shane Burgos. That was a big-time bonus win for him. And for Emmett, once he gets going with his hands, first round against Dan Ige, giant overhand right. Now, that Josh Emmett fight against Dan Ige, people forget the second round where Dan Ige lands a three-punch combo that rocks Josh Emmett, and then it gets closer as it goes on. People are going to forget that in the first round, Bryce Mitchell rocked Ilia Topuria with a three-strike combo because he was able to land a kick in that one as well. Topuria is not unhittable. You've seen him rocked.
Shai Herbert almost knocked his head into the crowd.
You've seen him rocked and just absolutely ate a head kick unfazed. Well, he was phased.
He was pretty phased.
He didn't block it whatsoever. He rallies back. He knocks out Shai Herbert with a big-time right hand. The big thing to say in this one is neither guy's a slouch in the wrestling. Both guys carry power. Ilia Topuria, finally an opportunity at a 5-round atmosphere of a main event in the UFC. This should be a great fight. And I know Josh Emmett is 38 years old, coming off a loss, but this could be another one of those cannoneer moments like we had last week in the co-main event.
It could be, y'all must have forgot, but I do think it's fair to say that at this stage of Josh Emmett's career, with his wrestling at least, it is much more of a defensive asset for him than an offensive one. He is going to be able to defend the majority of takedown attempts from a lot of guys in this division, and I know this fight might not happen for rankings purposes. If he wins this weekend, maybe it will. I do think Emmett versus Volkanovski is an interesting stylistic matchup. Just from this point, what is Volkanovski so good at? If you wrestle, he's such a good striker. If you're a really good striker, he can take you down. Emmett does have the kind of wrestling defense that I think would force Volkanovski to just be a striker. Not that he couldn't get the win done, but Emmett does just have a very interesting skill set. We saw glimpses of that even in the Yair fight. He was able to hurt Yair with a couple big shots over the top, but I do think we are starting to see the limitations of what Josh Emmett's whole skill set is when he fights the top tier levels of competition, because he does have great boxing. But even go back to the fight that he won against Michael Johnson. I know he won that fight, but he was losing a lot of the moments leading up until he got that crazy wild knockout win. And Emmett, to his credit, does carry his power as late as anybody as you will see in the UFC, really. Like, he is kind of a heavyweight fighter.
He is a Jairzinho Rosenstrike.
He is. Josh Emmett has, I would say pound for pound, he is one of the hardest hitters in the UFC, and I feel very comfortable in saying that. But I do think the lack of insane volume, he has good volume, but really kind of 1%er power punchers or volume punchers, they can get off to a lead, and if he's not able to land that one big power shot in this fight, what's he going to do to go out there and win rounds? Because for Topuria, he reminds me a little bit of like a John Morant. Like, he is so highlight reel worthy that you do get caught up in a lot of the highlight reels, the left hook to the body, the overhand rights that you bring up, rightfully so. He has been caught in some fights, so I could see a world where he goes in there, he hurts Josh Emmett, can go in for the finish, and Emmett hurts him with a big hand. I just think this fight's so volatile because both guys have that 1% knockout power.
I'd say he's a little bit smarter than that. I'd say he's like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, under the radar, but lots of highlights too.
Not as highlight reel worthy, though.
Matt, when you look at a matchup like this, I mean, for Topuria, where have you seen awesome volume out of him in his fights? Because he hasn't shown it.
No, I haven't. It's just Emmett's been a guy who goes in there and he's not going to go out there and wow you with his volume. He's going to wow you with his power more than anything. I just worry that for Emmett, more specifically out of these two, he doesn't use his wrestling offensively, so he's probably not going to be doing that to go out there and win rounds. He doesn't throw crazy volume. He has good combinations, but again, the combinations end with a power shot. That's why I bring it up. I just think for Emmett, outside of those big knockdown strikes, it's going to be tough for him to go in there and just do things that resonate in the minds of the judges, because like you bring up, he lands those big shots against Dan Ige, but a lot of the other moments of the fight are some of those 50-50, and that's why I think the big shot will be so important.
And Emmett has had 5-round experience inside of the UFC. You saw it when he took on one big-time fighter, and we're talking about it. I mean, Yair Rodrigues. He wasn't able to get it done in that matchup his last time out. He did fight Jeremy Stephens way back when, got his eye caved in, had to take a long time off.
But he didn't drop Stephens early in that fight.
Yeah, that is true, and he did fight Calvin Kattar in a main event back last year, and in that one, a chintzy split decision win. A lot of people surprised that Emmett was able to get it done. However, if you look at it for a guy like Emmett at Team Alpha Male, a lot of people, like Danny Castillo is going to get you ready for a fight like this. He was able to land that big right hand on Michael Johnson too.
Song Yadong.
If you look at it for a guy like Topuria training out of Killcliff, I don't know if Michael Chandler's there, but do you think Michael Chandler's in Vegas more than Conor McGregor is? Because it seems like it. Seems like it.
I want to see Michael Chandler fight Arman Tsarukyan.
But Chandler, a guy out of Killcliff in the lower weight classes that can really get you ready for a stylistic matchup like a guy in Josh Emmett. Now, Matt, when we look at a fight like this, I'm kind of surprised. Topuria is pretty heavily favored in this fight. So we did throw it out to you guys, and we threw it out in our YouTube community tab. We do that every single week. You can find us over there, throwing out the challenges. If we look, not a lot of votes, almost 80% going with Topuria. In the comments, the one and only saying rip Emmett and Gabriel Lopez. A lot of people sleeping on Emmett. I'm not even going to try and pick a winner because it could be as simple as who lands hard first. I've seen Emmett fight the best guys in the world. I haven't seen Topuria do that yet.
Thoughtful response right there.
So yeah, that response of the week right there, and we just threw that one out there not that long ago. Matt, this one is a tough one for me to pick because Topuria is low volume, good takedowns. Emmett, the percentages might not be there for great takedown defense, but he can excel in the scrambles. He
doesn't get held down. That's the important thing.
He has good takedown defense, and I think Emmett can throw at a higher volume and make Topuria pay. I have a hard time with this pick, and I don't look at age as being a determining factor in this fight at all.
I do a bit just from this standpoint more. Maybe not the age, but Emmett's taken a lot of damage in his career. Like, he's been hurt a lot. And I do worry. Like, we brought up the injuries, or he brought up the injuries on this very channel against Jeremy Stephens. No, it was a long time ago.
And we also talked about Josh Emmett and his knee injuries.
And like, against Yair, he ate some massive shots, too. So I do think for Josh Emmett, it is fair to bring up the fact that he's 38. He's been in a lot of difficult fights. And for that reason, it's difficult to pick Topuria, especially when you have seen him get rocked by guys like Jai Herbert. I don't think Jai Herbert would have a very close fight with Josh Emmett. But I think Topuria's going to be able to do better with his long-range boxing. This is the difference between these two guys. Topuria throws his boxing combinations from a further distance away than a guy like Josh Emmett. Emmett will kind of do much more of a shell up and throw hooks to the body and whatnot, whereas Topuria will throw that left hook to the body from a longer distance away, and I think that's going to help him. Now, if he eats some crazy left hook counter from Josh Emmett, we've all seen it before. Josh Emmett could knock out a horse, but I do have Ilia Topuria in this
And it's going to be interesting for Emmett. Again, he struggled with a lot of the kicks, a lot of the long-range weapons of guys like Yair Rodrigues, the speed as well. And he was able to implement the takedown only to end up getting submitted. I have Josh Emmett in this matchup as a big underdog because I think that Emmett is going to be able to carry it 5 rounds, make Topuria pay, and we'll see if that work rate for Topuria pays out because I've seen him slow from round 1 to round 2. Even if he's getting the finish in the second round as the fight goes on, I haven't seen Ilia Topuria fight in a big-time main event, 5-round atmosphere like this one. Fans in attendance, former MMA Masters guy, now out of Killcliff, is one.
You
Ilia
don't
Topuria.
until you do, though.
But yeah, you don't until you do. So again, the big experience that he had over with Brave, the experience that he had over with Cage Warriors, that big-time main event slot against one, Brian Boulon, representing...
Beat him quick.
He beat him quick, although he missed the weight. Matt, we're split on the pick in this matchup, and I am sure that I'm going to get an earful like I did last weekend with the Cannoneer pick. But some big-time fights on this card. 14 total. Last week, 2 of them dropped out. It's another one of those ones where we get excited for it. We get a big-time showing from Zhalgas Zhumagulov. He's going to be taking on...
You look like Zhalgas if you got in with the wrong crowd. Like, you look like Tobey Maguire, Zhalgas Zhumagulov.
Zhumagulov taking on Joshua Van, the Fearless. Some big-time fights to look forward to. It's a card that's on ABC, the 5th card on ABC, the 6th one from Jacksonville. We have question mark kicks. That one's 2 hours before the prelims. What's the scoop on that one?
It gives us a chance to go back and basically change our mind over any of these fight picks that we've done. If a fighter misses weight, maybe we have an injury, and like you said, normally there's a fight that drops out during the week, so it just gives us another chance to go back throughout the card, and it's always fun to talk about fights with you guys.
You can hit up the super thanks here on this video if you want to tip the boys for the work. Matt, some big time fights on this card. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, we always say.
Let's get into it.